Thank you, Lord, for bringing us to another evening. We pray for peace as we celebrate the birth of our Savior. Inspire all of us to continue to do what is best for our community. In his name, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Excuse me. Roll call is going around. We have 20 members present, and we do have a quorum. We'll start with our presentation and reports. Our Public Works Director, Craig Bright, is here to let us know about the 2023-2027 capital projects.
All right, so we just want to shed a little bit more light on what capital projects are in more depth than what the packet maybe reads or shows. So sometimes words and numbers just get combobulated, and it's just like, well, what is this? So I've tried to sum this thing up as best as I could, but it is somewhat lengthy, but it does hold a lot of merit with the length that it has. So rather than hold questions to the end, I'm more than willing to answer them as we go. I think it may be easier that way versus trying to recall back to whichever building it may have been that the question was for. So with that said, I'll just get started. Like it was indicated, we're going to go from 23 to 27, and it's just basically a snapshot of those years. It's more like a 1,000-foot view too. It's not anything in particular precise, but it does help, I feel. So we'll start with courthouse. The courthouse 2023, we spent the $956,500. Large contributor to that total was the branch 4 creation. In order to create branch 4, we had to move child support and register and probate, and law library was essentially discontinued. So a good chunk went towards that. Then some of the other bigger projects in there are like DDC controls.
Craig, could you just move the microphone closer? They're having a hard time hearing it. Thank you.
There we go. In 24, we had 59,500. Some of those projects were the sewer lateral. Basically, it was a repair under one of our rooms down in the basement. We had a collapse of the sewer lateral, which was in turn backing up the sewage. So it was something that just kind of crept up. We did some camera scanning of it and found that there was a 5-foot section that had a large dip in it. And basically we cut open the floor and replaced it, and that section, and we've been good since. So like I said, some of the other ones on there were like the district attorney suite recarpeting. We, in all our buildings, just try to keep carpet fresh and keep moving through so that we don't get caught behind the 8 ball with some really bad carpeting. 2024, 2025, we had the Windows HVAC, as you're all aware of. That was 3.7. I think you all know what that was about. That's pretty fresh project. 2025, we had some tuck pointing for the courthouse, being the age of the building. It's a lot of tuck pointing, and very important to keep up on it, because if we don't, it'd be a large expense all at once. So we do a little bit every so often, not every year, but we do take a look at it every year. 2026, the budget you guys had just approved, you see that exterior door staining again, I was referring to earlier. We have some rotunda maintenance, ceiling painting. That's affiliated artists out of Milwaukee. It's basically some of the paint that you see in this room. You know, it's you don't just grab a bucket and start throwing paint on it. It's a little more detailed than that. So, gotta have somebody that's really up on that kind of thing. So that will be happening this coming year. And moving on to 27, those are just some projected budget items that we're looking to go with. Not saying all of them will go. You know, it all comes down to what we can do dollar-wise, but those are just some of the ideas that we're going after. Yes?
Oh, that's 2 years out from now. Is there any talk of doing anything with the dome for that courthouse? Like we were starting with doing the windows and all that HVAC stuff. Is there anything talked about in how many years down the line?
I don't have any concrete information on that. Basically, it was just that this past budget cycle, which it was removed, was architectural engineering design. Obviously, that's where we would have to start. So until that is addressed, then we would be able to take next steps. So until that happens, no. Yes.
I'm curious about the vehicles, the pickup trucks. Are they dedicated to the courthouse? When is it called, referred to as a mail van? What, you guys are delivering mail, or?
We help out the mail service, so yes. No, we have a county mail courier. So basically that person goes from building to building and collects the mail and then, distributes where it has to go. And yep. Basically, inter-county mail, yes. That's a great question though, because that also came up at the Public Works Committee meeting that I presented the same thing, so they get to see it twice. Why so many vehicles at the courthouse? Prior to me, this is the way the accounting had taken place, was that vehicles were expensed out of the courthouse budget. No particular reason why it has to be that way. It's just the way it's been set up. So they're not dedicated just to the courthouse. It's just that's where they're expensed out of. So just a little bit more on that. Every 10 years, we try to cycle our vehicles out. It doesn't mean that they're end of life at that point, but I think we all can attest that after 10 years, things, vehicles-wise, actually start showing up. And we could get maybe a little bit more out of them, but it's not that we just get rid of them. We hand them down the line, go to Expo, and then to the recycling center. So we do get quite a bit more life out of them. So it just starts with downtown buildings, I'll just say, and then goes from there. All right, we'll move on. Office complex, the building over by Lowe's. That building is essentially a one-story building on slab, and it's just like any other building, need all kinds of fun stuff. So in 2023, we had $148,500 asphalt maintenance, seal coat, crack fill, and stripe. So every 5 years, we cycle through all our parking lots, and we do this work just to try to keep or get the most life out of them that we can. You won't see it consistently through here. Like I said, this is a 1,000-foot view presentation, but that's essentially how it works. Law Enforcement Center, actually in 2026 has some of that kind of work coming up. So we hire out a contractor to seal coat it, well, crack fill it first, seal coat it, and then stripe it out. Keep them sealed up so water doesn't penetrate and pop them out. The lawn tractor replacements, office complex, that maintenance position there is our, we'll call it main lawn cutting position. They go to a lot of our outlying buildings besides downtown, meaning here, the recycling center, maybe some tax properties and whatnot. So they carry the load for the riding lawnmowers, the grasshoppers essentially. So that's why that's in that budget line. 2024 auto locks. So out at that building, we have a second shift custodian that goes through and checks all our buildings, make sure exterior doors are secured. This was one where they had to physically lock the doors after hours, and this building is also the one that has room 300 that is used heavily by groups from 4-H to just other user groups to use it, and doors were left either unlocked or propped open. So by adding these auto locks, we've solved a lot of those issues. We're able to set them on a timer or lock them remotely or unlock them remotely. So it gave us more versatility. 2025, we got 146,000 there. Toolcat was one of them. We have two Toolcats, one at the expo grounds, one here at the office complex. Why? It's a remote property, essentially, from what we have downtown. It's called a country property because the wind blows in nicely there for snow. And to get close up to the building, it's nice to have a snow blower, and we have a broom attachment for it. And working on some of our remote locations when either in tax delinquency or you have it, we'll need like a brush cutter or whatnot. It's essentially a utility vehicle for those kind of services. And then during county fair, both Toolcats are there for county fair for all the stuff that needs to happen during that time. 2026, we got some gutter and leaf guard installation. Those gutters are end of life. If any of you have visited that building anytime recently, you'll notice a lot of leakage through the gutters. We've had them sealed up many times. It's just from the contraction, expansion of the building and the age of the gutters. It's just time. Why leaf guards? It's a huge maintenance item out there and kind of an unsafe project for maintenance staff to clean out those gutters in the fall. And if you don't time it out just right, the stuff may be frozen in there. And they're bigger gutters, and yeah, it's tricky. So this should help save the county money long term without potential workman's comp and maintenance costs associated with trying to keep up on them. I jumped 26, I guess. Oh no, that is 26. Then again in 27. We have gutters, because there's so much and so costly, we split it up. And also in 27, you also see another grasshopper riding mower. Then vestibule and corridor flooring. The flooring out there are the square VCT tiles. They're all starting to curl. You only can strip and wax those so many times before they're end of life, and there's only so much you can do with them. So either we lay new flooring or we do what some businesses have been doing is stripping out the flooring, sanding it down, and putting a sealer on it and just using it as a concrete. I don't know if we'll go that route, but it is an option. Yes.
Grasshopper mowers,
Yes.
are those assigned just out there, or are they used throughout the properties?
Yeah, like I related to earlier, they are used everywhere, but they do, like for leaf pickup, when we order these things, we have that leaf hopper attachment because of all the properties with leaves, like even downtown, we don't try to run the mowers down there, but we do use them downtown to collect leaves. But yes, like tax Lincoln properties, this property, recycling center, just to name a few. Yep, you're welcome. Law Enforcement Center, our most costly building, for obvious reasons, largest square footage, more sophisticated systems. So in 2023, we got that crack unit, that's a computer room air conditioning. We have one in the basement there and one over at our communication technology building, room that uses this specific kind of air conditioning system. It's not your traditional air conditioning system that are more cost effective. These are specific for computer rooms. So they got humidity controls and other more dialed in controls that are needed for all the computer equipment that can be fussy. So that's what that means. Detention mop sinks, just up on the detention side of things, just keeping up some of the mop sinks in the blocks. Essentially, yeah, it's just a big mop sink that the inmates do their dishes in there, or whatever you want to call it. It's better than just a hand washing sink. So just end of life and just need to be replaced. 2024, we had the fire alarm system upgrade. We're actually just wrapping that up now. We budgeted for that one over 2 years because the cost that we had or the quote we had to go into that project wasn't what it ended up being. So we had to be just strategic with our budgeting. So that's just something that every 15, 20 years, the panel for sure has to be updated. This one, all the outlying devices throughout the building had to be upgraded. So large project. So that was that. UPS batteries. Basically, it's a big square box that's got batteries and contactors in it, and just like our automobiles or our lawnmowers or whatever, batteries only last so long. So, it's a maintenance item, change out the batteries. Some of these things we choose to go forward with, but a lot of this stuff, we rely on our contractors to let us know is it time or not, because we want to get the most we can out of a lot of this stuff. But then again, we don't want to get caught with something that is nickel and diming us or causing a failure that would pose us issues with, for UPS taking care of sophisticated systems that it's trying to protect had there been a power failure. 2025, like I said, there's the second half of the fire alarm system upgrade. We had a generator ATS replacement. That's an automatic transfer station. That transfer station was I think it was original from 92. We had a situation where the thing wouldn't transfer back. So we had done a repair on that several years back, and again, a recommendation, and it was obvious because of the age that we needed to replace it. So something that a person doesn't always think of, but it is a component of the system. So that had to be taken care of. Other parts of 25 there, we have some exhaust hood replacements. There's, I think, 9 or 10 exhaust hoods on top of the law enforcement building, either for inmates, kitchen, or juvenile detention, metro drug, all that stuff. So they just become end of life. 2026, coming up this next year here. The security system upgrades, that was one of the, not saying targeted items during this last budget cycle, but it was a item that was questioned because of the large dollar amounts of what it really was. And like I said, it's, security system upgrades. The CCTVs kind of lumped into that. It's the Pro Logic controls, the storage devices, And again, that was the recommendation of the company that we work with for security over at the Law Enforcement Center. It's about halfway down 26 there, you got pneumatic valves. That building went through a retrofit, similar to what we just did at the courthouse, to remove the pneumatic valves. And what pneumatic is it's air-powered valves for the heating and ventilating and air conditioning system. At the courthouse, this last project, that was all removed, and we went to digital controls, more precise, more reliable. We get rid of an air compressor, that's a maintenance item. So over at the Law Enforcement Center, that had taken place in 2018. We just have some outlying pieces that need to be addressed that weren't able to be taken care of back then. Projected in 2027, you'll see right on top of the list there is the admin wing elevator modernization. As you maybe been seeing through some of the budget years, we modernized our elevators. We had a strong plan laid out by Otis Elevator Company. I think some of you may remember, we just did this one not too long ago. Basically, it just comes down to the controls being aged out and their old technology of contactors. Everything nowadays is all electronic and boards and ProLogic, and parts become unavailable otherwise. So it's one of those things where you gotta keep up with the times. Another thing there for 2027 is like the HVAC air compressor with dryer. Like I said, we still have some pneumatic stuff. We got, and then you got filter dryers. It's just, that's a projected thing. It just kind of pops up on our budgeted items that we have projected. Yes.
The elevator projects?
Yes.
Is it only the controls that need to be replaced? Are the replacement controls adaptable, suitable to the hardware that's there, doors and cables and the box itself?
Good question. Modernization, elevator modernization is kind of a loose term. Yes, it's the controls. It comes with the door closing devices in the shaft way, because they do all work together. And then there's also, in this last budget cycle, 2026, there's the hydraulics, so we're part of the budget that was approved. So we'll be replacing some of that thing. So there are different aspects to the elevator, correct?
I'll go back to 2026, garage door openers, all 5 we're replacing all at the same time. With all the garage door specialists that are out there today, why wouldn't we just run her till they die?
Great question. So we have the jail cell report, it has 4 of them. We have, I think there's 6 or 7 on the patrol garage, and then we have the juvenile garage. So this will finish up all of them. This will be the last of all of them. Basically what the old ones are, there's wood slides in them, and do they work? Yes, but they have caused us issues where in the patrol garage, for instance, the cops have got a hold of us saying that it was, the slides, being that they're wood, they don't, it was a good engineering thing back when, but they're wore enough, or the metal is wore enough that sometimes they get out of whack and then they bind. And rather than having to keep finicking with them, they're not completely failed, but at any given time they can fail. And it was the recommendation of our garage door company that, we replace them. And this goes back a while. It just finally made the budget. Well, absolutely, yeah. Why not? They got to eat too, right? No, I know. That's all good. All right, moving on. UWGB Manitowoc campus. We do budget a portion for that building. Well, there's 3 buildings there. Not sure who all knows what about it, but we have Lakeside, Founders, and Hillside. We have, depending on the year here, You'll see as we go through, I'll explain a little bit more. But 23, Lakeside Hall, we did some of those digital controls. I think you're kind of seeing a little bit of a pattern there. We're getting away from that pneumatic, going to digital, more of a county platform. It can be viewed remotely, controlled remotely, more precise. And pneumatics are just, they're aging themselves out, just used up. 2024, asphalt repair. We got some boiler servicing. We have some non-condensing boilers that are very finicky, that need to be serviced yearly, not like the older generation boilers that with the open flame and stuff, where they did need to get serviced, but they're not as susceptible to dirt or adjustments and whatnot. So it's something we just gotta keep a closer eye on. So you'll see that going through here as a repeat expense. 2025, door F5, it was just a door that was rotten, essentially, is what it came down to, and we just replaced it. Again, boiler servicing, tuck pointing, another building that requires a lot of tuck pointing, and we do a little bit every year, so we don't have a lot at once. 2026, same thing. You see that number is pretty small as we're going along there. We weren't sure what the status of the UW campus was going to be, as I think you're all aware of, that I believe it's 8 out of 13 now in the state of Wisconsin have closed. So we're not saying ours is closing, but we're keeping a close eye on it. We don't want to use taxpayer money to go towards a building that we may or may not have. But the projection is looking very strong that they're going to be around for a while, which is good for the community. So we're going to have to start ramping up some of our projects out there, meaning roof replacements and HVAC stuff, big dollar items, so which will take away from our other buildings. So just want to prepare everybody for that one.
As far as a ballpark number,
I would,
roughly, you got a lot of expensive stuff on 2027. What, that's probably capital that's gonna have to be bonded for.
well, and
That's quite a bit.
yeah, and that was just things that were part of 25 and 26. It was looking really bleak there for a while. Like they were going to close the doors any day, and then just like that, it's really come around. And I keep up with the UW staff quarterly, and even more so now because we really need to know where we lie. So to answer your question, we're not doing that all at once. It was just more that the place was all there because not that it was deferred, but it was things that we held off on that we're gonna have to get back on schedule with. So to throw a dollar amount at 27, I would say between 100 and 200,000 just for there, meaning roofs or a roof, which they don't come cheap.
Understanding this right, the UWGB leases that building from us, right? Or what?
Yeah, there's a memorandum of understanding from 1962 with the Wisconsin Board of Regents and Manitowoc County to run a 2-year, well, at that time, a 2-year system.
And has the Manitowoc Public School System at all approached us or you? Because they are now wanting to put some of their kids out at the UW Center, so are they going to help pay for some of this stuff, or what's going on with that?
Great question. So I don't want to hold you guys up real long, but I'll try to give you the short version of this. So where I was going with before, saying that the campus is looking very viable, they have had all kinds of groups wanting to take part in this building and utilize this building for what it is. And they've been doing a good job with that. But as part of that is word gets out that this is what's happening there, and more agencies or groups or, well, now school districts want to be part of this. So as of recent now, with the reorganization of the public school district here in Manitowoc, the public school, and don't quote me on any of this because I'm just telling you what I know and heard, and have been told by being part of the UW management, was that the school district toured it, let's say a year ago, just to see and we're talking about Hillside primarily, was to just look at it. The next meeting they had was last week, Thursday, and basically the letter had come out before that already, saying that they're moving there. We had that meeting on Thursday, and the management staff for UW was asking, well, when do you guys plan to move in? And they're like, well, maybe the end of January. And we were like, not me, I was a fly on the wall, just I wanted to hear what was going on. And they're like, well, I don't know. So that's for UWGB council up in Green Bay to work out with their local staff along with us, because we do want to be part of these leases because we are the owners of the building. So I am working with them to try to be sure that they always include us on things, which hasn't always been the case, but I've been, like I said, this has evolved over the year or two here. So I talk to them just as much as I talk to county employees, I feel like. So I feel like we're getting a stronger connection there. And yes, that's all I really know at this point. But yeah, the school district wants to move in like now. 80 to 100 kids, I heard. All right, on to Human Services, 2023, boiler replacements. We have 6 of them there. We're just trying to keep everything fresh. We didn't do all 6 at once. We just did 2 of 3. It says that because 1 was replaced by itself. We did 2 of 3. And then you'll see in the 24, we did 3 of 3. Ergonomic furniture upgrades, you'll see that consistently across the years. This building was one of our buildings that had some of the oldest furniture in the county, meaning one piece, I'll call them invincible desks. It's just one desk, not very ergonomic. The new workstations are your laminate tops with open legs, more robust furniture that will stand the test of time, that can be altered however you see fit. And actually this was going on before I even was part of management, so this is going on for a long time. This past year, even coming into next year, we're pretty much gonna wrap up with that, so you won't be seeing that going forward. Moving on to 24, like I alluded to, we had the furniture upgrades there. You'll see DDC controls again, tuck pointing, dental moldings. A little story on that is if you look to the 4th floor of Human Services, A Street, you'll see these, we just call them dental moldings because they look like teeth with spaces in them. They don't last forever like anything. They pop off and they fall. We haven't had anything fall, but we check them. We sound them. They tap them with a hammer every so often just to see if they're hollow. It's part of the gig. So that's that. 25, carpeting. Again, we're trying to throw a little bit of carpeting in all our buildings every so often, so we're not caught with it all at once. You'll see fire doors there. Why fire doors? The fire department inspects all our buildings every single year. We walk through with them. They're real good with us. They know we're not here to hide anything. So if they find anything, we address it right away. There's these roll up fire linkage doors that have been there, I think probably as long as the building's been there. They've never been an issue up until 2024. They said if those don't work or they don't operate, which they would have, we just don't know how we would have got them back up because they're vintage, and the company we reached out to said that you're probably better off just installing a fire door. So that's what we did. We put essentially a door in place of this opening. That's really what it comes down to. 26, clock mounts. This was another item that was talked about a little bit during the last budget cycle. what's up with this clock? So it's the historic clock, if any of you are familiar with it, on be the north east corner of that building, right on 8th Street, pointed at Capitol Civic Center. It's an iconic old clock. It's one of those where you either keep it up or you tear it off the building. We couldn't tear it off the building because it's part of the historical district of Manitowoc, which comes with a bunch of rules, and that was one of them, and not so many words. So we, I don't remember exactly when it was, we updated the controls of the clock, so they're not mechanical or digital. Actually, GPS keeps the time now instead of mechanical timing, because believe it or not, before that, Bob can attest to it, we got lots of phone calls when that clock was not keeping time. And we did the best job we could, but it just happens. So we don't get that anymore because GPS helps us out with that. Clock mounts. So yeah, at that time, we had to strip away some of the architectural copper that is covering up the mounts where the wiring had to go through, and realize that the mounts aren't in the best of shape, that they need to be addressed. So that clock is going to be removed from the building to fix the mounts and reattached, and starting in spring. 2027, more carpeting. Install office door locks. As HIPAA requires them to have locking stuff, so as long as they have locking cabinets, they comply. But there's some offices that they want locking doors, some meaning 20 to 40. So the locks that we use are anywhere from like $150 to $300, and basically they wear like iron. Some of the locks that I've come to the courthouse, starting with the county, have been in well before me and are still working. It's good stuff. We try not to deal with stuff that's not going to last more than what we think it should. Public health, public works, 3rd floor. We got public health, 2nd and 1st floor. WIC, they're all in the building there. 23, DPW office remodel. Our departments added a administrative assistant back in 23, partly because of several years before that, IT became part of Public Works, and now it's breaking off. But administrative is still going to be shared by both of our departments. So that's what that is. What's that all about? It was just an office created up in our space up there on 4th floor, or third floor, yes. 2024, parking lot maintenance. Again, I've talked about that already. LED upgrades, you may have seen that as we went through the slides. I don't remember the exact year we started, but we started a while ago. We've been converting our fluorescent tubes to LED tubes. There's a lot of light bulbs in the county, so it's a cost-saving thing. Early on, we were getting focus money for it. Now, not so much, because it's them things always, as technology goes, so do the rebates from focus. So that's what that's all about. 25, we got some variable frequency drives. It's a cost savings piece, so the pumps aren't running at 100%. They can run at 60 or 70 or whatever it takes to keep the water pressure to where it should be with the digital controls. Again, it's a cost saving piece. 26, we got some more LED retrofits. 1st floor drinking fountain. I'm sure you've seen that as we've gone through the buildings. They, believe it or not, age out too. It's just part of the game. 27, the north parking lot rebuild. What that means, communication technology parking lot and public health parking lot are kind of one, but there's like a 2-foot strip in between it, which has like a foundation under it, I guess, or some sort. We'll find out more once we investigate. But the public health parking lot is sloped at such a angle that it's really unsafe this time of year. We can plow, salt it, and you're still gonna have some ice. And, it's just becoming beat up, and the elevation of the public health is much higher than communication and technology building. It's one of those things where we need to join and fix the asphalt that's starting to pop on the public health side. The communication technology lot obviously is decent shape. It's newer, obviously, than what public health is, but, yeah, that's essentially what that means. Administration building, personnel, finance, 2023, digital controls, like I said, you'll see that going through. 24, LED lighting, 25, some more LED, 26, exhaust fans. I think we have 3 of them on the roof. With exhaust fans, we've been going direct drive instead of belts. It's a maintenance, cost-saving thing, so that's what that is. Our P-valves, that's for our water supply. The valves, the inner workings of them just wear out from water passing through them constantly, so just time to replace them. 27, we have the variable air boxes for the HVAC system projected to be replaced. We have the front end of the digital controls that took over the air handler and the boilers. So the VAV boxes would be the next thing. We had a couple of them that we had issues with in the past. We've got them back up working the best we can. Essentially, they're the same age as what the courthouses used to be. And again, just that it's time. Communication technology building, believe it or not, that building is 15 years old. 2023, we had a boiler expansion tank, fire panel upgrade. We were able to flash the controls of that panel to bring it up to today's technology, which was a beautiful thing because we didn't have to spend a ton of money on that panel upgrade, so that was nice. 24, third floor security door. That was for IT departments to section off the elevator lobby from the rest of, essentially we moved what was the security door down the hallway a little bit to give IT more of a secure working environment with their conference room and their setup room. So that's as the county grew in the technology field, we had to do something up there with that. Third floor drinking fountain, like we talked in the past, that it's time for them at some point. We got variable frequency drive replacement in 25. We got some tuck pointing. I don't know if any of you noticed this year. We actually just finished up right before it got cold and snowy, not too long ago actually, with tuck pointing. When the building was constructed, the top portion of the building had essentially a flashing with a drip area for the water to escape from the top side behind a brick. That method of procedure was just rubber instead of using metal. It was starting to fail, and we noticed it last year, the year before, on a front elevation facing 9th Street. There was a few brick that were like popped out, and you could see the water efflorescence in the joints, which led us to be curious of what was going on, and that's where we found this. So we've been budgeting now for elevation each year because it's $20,000 in elevation. When our tuck pointers were here this year doing that work, they had found many holes in the rubber flashing that was used from construction back in 2010. So it's just a thing that needs to be done. So we're aggressively budgeting for it. incrementally throughout the years here. So 26, again, you'll see another elevation there. West fence replacements. The west end of the parking lot has a dilapidated wood fence that is held up by wire and all kinds of stuff. It's time. Something needs to happen with that fence. So that's gonna go. I had planning zoning survey that out, so we knew exactly where the property line was, so we didn't deviate from that. We'll get a fence company, get a quote for us on that, and we'll get that in. 2027, we got the UPS replacements. That's the system that I was referring to before over at the Law Enforcement Center that we replace batteries in. This is the whole unit, so the whole unit will have to go in 27 or before. Data center upgrade. This is something that I alluded to earlier in the communication slide. As the IT and technology evolves, a lot of Luke can attest to this, that stuff's going to the cloud, and we don't need on-site hardware as much as we used to. So therefore, the server room that we have up on third floor of communication technology building is underutilized, and IT staff is kind of squeezed more than what they would like in their setup rooms and even some of the other areas up there. So the thought would be is to downsize that server room and make another office or two, but we'll see how that goes. But that's just projected. Nothing in stone, but that's what that means. Heritage Center, the building we're standing in. 2023, we had some window replacements on the windows here in the county boardroom. You wouldn't know, but some of those have been replaced incrementally. There's, I think, maybe one or two that need to go yet. I'd have to look for sure. It was just something that came up with fogging of the glass and their pillow windows. Had a contractor come up and we got a quote and incrementally replacing them. When they moved in 17, they did all the really bad ones at that time, but there's a few left, I guess. So we'll work through that. 24, elevator mod. That's what I was relating to earlier. Asphalt maintenance, and maybe you remember that or not, but we had some asphalt work rebuild right out here, right outside the window actually. 25, CCTV security system. Luke and his staff installed Verkada in this building. I think we have all our buildings covered now with camera systems. This was the last one. Good to have eyes in the sky for all kinds of reasons. So that's one of the items there. Hot water line replacement. What's that? Exactly what it is. Old building, galvanized pipe. I actually have pieces of them in my office. The opening was so small. I don't know if any of you had ever taken out old water line, but they somewhat corrode, just like arteries. They can corrode shut, and that's essentially what happened with this hot water line. It wasn't shut, but it was time. When the plumber was removing it and replacing it, he said the threaded joints, when he was taking all the pipe out, they actually cracked. So that was him wrenching around on it, but I don't know, what would have it took for us to have a big water leak? I don't know. 2026, here's a portion of what the elevator components are. Elevator power unit. So there's the power unit itself, the hydraulic motor and valve replacement, not the controls. So that's what that is. We got some carpet replacement there. 2027, employee entrance stoop. We have a couple stoops. Well, the employee entrance right back here by the parking lot, it's popping and raising. So we have that fixed up. We have some windows possibly, drinking fountains, generator coolant, it'd be time for that. Central exhaust. The exhaust system in this building is not the greatest in our restrooms because they're all shaft drawn, which has a lot of imperfections throughout the shaft. So this is sealed ducted pipe, which will get some decent draw out of these restrooms. Because I don't know if any of you ever heard, but we have sporadic sewer gas smells in this building, and part of it's associated that. And, the other one was actually sewer gas. We had replaced some of our waste pipe in certain locations. Other sites would be our Rapids property right next to the Grand Rental TA, the old courthouse lot there, Potter's Field. I think essentially that's really what this breaks down to being. You'll see a very good pattern there, ash tree and broken headstones. Over at Potter's, we budget, I think it's $1,000. Used to get us 3 headstones, it gets us not even 1 now. Throughout the years, it's what it costs. So some of those headstones there are not legible. We have a map of who they all are if we have a name for them. So obviously we take the worst and just keep working our way through them. We don't throw a ton of money at it, but we're just trying to upgrade them as time goes. Recycling solid waste. 23, combustible dust cleaning. This is all the dust buildup on all the rafters. It's a MRF, material recycling facility. It's a big fire hazard in MRFs. So in 23, we had that all vacuumed off. 24, we had some ditch cleaning. There's not a lot of slope to that industrial park out there, so it's very important that the ditches are cleaned out so that the drainage can drain properly. Otherwise, you get a lot of cattails, or you have it, and it just turns into a bog. 25, forklift, asphalt. 26, we have a loader replacement. We have 3 loaders at the recycling center, mainly for our compost sites. And now with having Woodland, we have 1 there and 2 at the Basswood site. So that's what the loader's about. You see ditch cleaning again. Forklift replacement, why you see that twice, it got deferred essentially from 25 to 26. 2027, we have Bobcat replacement. I believe they have 2, possibly 3 Bobcats. It's due. And then they got some conveyors for the balers and the production lines, because it's time for those 2. Human Services Hamilton. It's the old library, Lakeside Foods. However you remember it as. It's in 24, essentially it was our first full year in that building. We had some exhaust fan replacements, occupancy sensor, cottonwood screens. What's that? On our condensing units for air conditioning, we essentially have a screen put on the exterior of the units. It helps the cottonwood from not embedding itself into the coils. Maintenance savings is really what it comes down to, and equipment savings. They do work very well. So it's pretty standard protocol when we replace any HVAC equipment that has air conditioning condensing component to it. We get the cottonwood screens right away. 25, we got a plan from Shells Mechanical of the age and urgency of replacement of the HVAC equipment. I think we have 7 or 8 rooftops and 2 air handlers. So they drew up a plan for us, and we'll work through those as the years go here. 26, we have a fire alarm system replacement. There is like a notification system right now. They don't have a fire alarm system, so that's what that is. AHU6, it's another part of that HVAC replacement plan. 27, we're going to start the big dollar projects there. We've been waiting for, I think you all know that this building is leased for human services, so It's, Human Services essentially pays, I think it's like around $30,000 a month, that we're building that pot off, trying to pay off the purchase price of, I think it was 800,000. So now we've given it good 2 or 3.5 years. It's time to start hitting some of the bigger projects, meaning the roof. It is the worst roof that the county has. It can be maintained as long as we want, but that comes with a cost too. We have craft scheduled twice a year to go up there and repair whatever they see wrong, which they find a lot every year. The rubber is just degraded to that point where it's time. Yes.
This may be not the right place to answer this question, ask it, but seeing as how we're talking about this building, what is the occupancy of that building? Are we using the whole building, or is there space available?
Good question. There is space available. The building is not fully utilized. Essentially, it's a smaller portion up on the second floor that was a cubicle space. It could be a future build-out of offices if needed. It's basically, I'll call it the mezzanine area overlooking the lower area, which is where the parent coaches have like toys and visitation rooms for parents and their kids. Other than that, the rest of the building is fully occupied. So it's not occupied to the degree that Lakeside occupied it, but Lakeside, it wasn't restricted on HIPAA as well. So a lot of private offices, they're not doubled up or there's not much cubicle use because they can't. They have a lot of HIPAA restrictions there. So I think Lakeside had 130 in there, and I would be lying if I told you if we have 40 maybe in there right now. Expo. 23 tables and chair replacements, small animal building, overhead receptacle circuits. That was for like the dog show when they come in. They had shortage of receptacles. No capital funds for 24. 25, exterior restroom doors, Lester building, roof recoat, safety bollards. 26, you'll see that number really jumped from what it had been. That's for a couple reasons. During the COVID years, we weren't able to have any events, but we were able to submit what the cost would be or cost lost was for all those events, which was a substantial check that we received for that, plus the increase of the fare from $10 to fare ticket, I should say. The general admission plus the other parts of it. But essentially, the increase of entrance to the fair has helped out. So the expo is in great financial situation. So not that this was deferred, but we're able to do a little bit more with what we have there. So we're doing some epoxy floor coating. We got the restroom partitions. If any of you have been there during county fair, some of those partition panels are they're needing to be replaced. They're not in good shape, but we're maintaining them the best we can as they are. 2027, we got some picnic tables there. We have a lot of picnic tables. A lot of them that need to be replaced. They won't take paint the best anymore. There's just time. We've been working with parks. We have a good table that we've been buying so far. So asphalt maintenance, crack filling. There's a lot of asphalt out there. So trying to keep up with that. Ice Center, it's a small budget, always will be a small budget. The user groups for hockey and figure skating essentially use that building, now extra month out of the year than what they had been. So there's not a lot to the building. So we throw a small budget at it, and water heater and a concession stand. You got a joiner roof. What that is, where the Ice Center joins the merchant building. Asphalt maintenance, commercial refrigerator. 26, you got door replacements. That's essentially the doors between the lobby and the rink. They're needing replacement. We get emails quite often from the user groups letting us know that. So that'll be happening once the season's over. 2027, concession stand, cabinetry, asphalt maintenance. Yeah. Then to the end here, you see a summary of all those buildings. And again, these aren't actual numbers that you would see in your budget packet, but they're numbers from this presentation that just kind of give you a small, or not a small, a decent glimpse of kind of where we're at with capital projects. That's, like I said, that's the end. Sorry for the long-winded explanation, but I had practice at the Public Works Committee meeting. There is no short way to go about this, other than skipping a lot of it, and then why have it in there if you're gonna skip over it all? So I thank you all for listening, and if you have any other questions, I'm happy to answer them. Otherwise, John?
I just want to say nice job, Greg. This is a really, really thorough explanation on everything, and very, you obviously have a very high degree of knowledge on everything that's going on. So nice job, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Yep.
Yes?
Do you have an estimate on the roof replacement at Hamilton?
I don't have one right now, but if I had to guess based on some of our other ones, I'm gonna say it's probably right in that 150 to 200, if I had to guess, but don't quote me on that. I have to reach out for one. And I will be doing that soon because it's coming time, yeah. Yep. All right, thank you, everybody.
All right. Where are we at? Oh, that takes us to public comment. Are there any members of the public wishing to speak tonight? Wishing to speak? For a third and final time, anybody wishing to speak? Seeing none, I'll close public comment. You can see the consent agenda below. There's quite a few items on it. Are there any items that supervisors would like to see removed for individual consideration? Supervisor Marsh.
The ones for personnel, are they automatic? They are separate. Okay, that's all I needed to know. Thank you.
Yep, the personnel ones are under Personnel Committee. All right, anything any supervisors want to see removed? For third, motion to approve by Supervisor Benke, second by Supervisor Engelbrecht. No discussion on the consent agenda, so the clerk will conduct the vote.
Supervisors will now vote on the consent agenda.
All right, and the consent agenda is approved. That'll take us to committee. Aging and Disability Board, Supervisor Shimalunas.
I don't know if I'm on, but I'm just going to emphasize, I'm sorry, Resolution 127, that was, it was very important because it affects volunteers. We have volunteer drivers, especially for Meals on Wheels, and the insurance companies wanted to increase their driver insurance coverage. And one of the justifications for this is because they consider these drivers, because they were compensated for mileage, they consider them a commercial activity, I guess like DoorDash. But anyway, the volunteers are very essential to ADRC, especially for the Meals on Wheels. And the legislation before you is meant to properly define volunteer drivers, which will help ADRC a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Shimalunas. Board of Health, Supervisor Metzger.
I have no report. Our next meeting is January 8th at 5 p.m. at the Health Department. Thank you.
Thank you. Criminal Justice Coordinating Council, Supervisor Falkowski.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The meeting of Manitowoc County Criminal Justice Coordinating Council was November 5th. Drug court update. indicated 14 participants, 6 female, 8 males. 2 are waiting and 2 are inpatient. Human Services are working with participants and on a policy procedures manual. The alumni group created a formalized meeting structure, and as a result, attendance is much higher each month. Access to court will be meeting later in November. The Youth Intervention Network reported a few deflections and diversion referrals. There was 1 in September and 2 in October. Miscellaneous topics discussed were about the media's inquiry about the bail process. In lieu of media interviews, more education about the process would be beneficial to the community. How to implement this is considered at another meeting. Discussion about the open citizen representative on the council nomination should be provided to the executive committee by December 11th. The next CJC council is scheduled for a meeting on January 7th at the Communication and Tech Building. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's the end of my report.
Thank you. Executive committee, I don't have anything right now, but just something to keep on your radar, probably in January, early February. We'll have an executive committee meeting to start looking at the county board rules again, like we did last 2 years ago when we were looking at a new county board coming in April. So just kind of keep that on your radar and feel free to peruse the rules. If you have any ideas, bring them forth to that meeting. Expo Ice Center Board, Supervisor Benke.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The working committees are working on their things that they're in charge of. One of those would be like the fair book, the fair rules, and all of those. They go through them, they dissect them, take suggestions, and make the changes. Early in January, we will be attending the Fairs Conference. The Fairs of the Fair competition is also part of that conference. We will be looking at talent that we will be looking and booking for future fairs. And in finality, don't forget to buy your fair tickets for Christmas. St. Nick has already been here. Mr. Phipps, you got a lot of kids. They could use some fair tickets, I'm sure. So both Mr. Phipps and all your kids. So they make good Christmas gifts. So that concludes my report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Finance Committee, Supervisor Shimalunas, do you have a report?
No.
Okay,
No report.
thank you. Highway Committee, back to you, Supervisor Benke.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We met last week and we had a driveway access item. We talked about hours of operation. We're looking at making it more conducive to attracting people to come and moving into that. Personnel update, yesterday we had 2 new employees start yesterday, and 1 didn't show and the other one did. So 1 out of 2 are running 50%. Still looking for applicants. I talked to Greg today, a lot of applicants. That's not a problem. There's a lot of applicants, but finding qualified applicants is a challenge. So he's going through those, and we will be running interviews on those. He went through some storm reports and crash data, a lot of data when it comes to every minute that we're out on a state road, how much salt we're putting on, how many miles we're doing, and everything. Very interesting report. Commissioner did a very nice job in updating the committee on all of that interesting data. So we will meet January 20th before our next county board meeting that same day. That concludes my report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Human Services Board, Supervisor Klein.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Human Services Board met on 12/11 at the J Street location. This month's meeting focused on a presentation given by Sean Michaels concerning Child Protective Services and the work being done on a continuous basis by the typical CPS worker. The primary mission of the CPS worker, once engaged with a client, is to assess a family for allocations of mistreatment and if the home is a threat to the safety of the children. If no threat, case closed. Pretty simple. However, the majority of cases require the state-mandated paperwork and involvement with cooperating agencies in a difficult, human, emotion-filled atmosphere. CPS workers have compassion for the less fortunate individuals that they come in contact with on a daily basis, while at the same time dealing with caseloads that would challenge even the most seasoned professional. Very enlightening presentation and respect for those who do this as a living. We then proceeded to Human Services financial projections. In general, the budget is being managed with due diligence through the usual unknown reimbursements from state Medicaid, the management of staff positions, such as the reclassification of financial services supervisor position to a staff accountant, which is going through the approval process via the Personnel Committee and subsequent County Board approval, and revenue generation via fee increase from $250 to $300 for 2026 for the intoxicated driver program, which would put Manitowoc County in line with similar fees with neighboring counties. We will exceed 300 of the intoxicated driver program individuals by year end. This fee increase will generate revenue exceeding an additional $15,000 for a total projection in 2026 of $90,000. We're keeping an eye on the budget burn rate of one youth that is housed for treatment. This treatment began in November 20th, and cost the county $756 a day, which is a very low cost rate, but still adds up to $23,000 a month. Our best hope is this money is well spent. And saving the good news for last, the state of Wisconsin Quality Assurance Team came into Human Services to review everything. Not only did Human Services pass all reviews, in the report it was noted that both Manitowoc County's crisis program and intensive care outpatient program were positively acknowledged. They were impressed. Our next meeting will be January 22nd at 4:15 at the J Street location. That's the end of my report. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Supervisor Klein. Land Conservation Committee and UW Extension Education Agriculture Committee, Supervisor Ryan Phipps.
Thank you, Chairman Martell. We had a meeting last month. Everything kind of went as usual, with the exception of we're still trying to work through the 5-year manure agreement policy. I strongly encouraged and suggested that the department, the county, and the farmers that are affected try to sit down and kind of work through it together with some suggestions back and forth. It's been a slow process. I hope that we continue to go forward in a positive way. That particular committee, I have a meeting again coming up next month on the 15th. And then we also have a meeting this Thursday for the UW committee. So that's the end of my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Personnel Committee, Supervisor Marsh.
Thank you. I'll try and keep it short. But we met on December 2nd, and even though we are closing out the year, we had a lot on the agenda. One of the issues that in doing the budget, supervisors had many questions about our health insurance and how we manage it because we're self-insured. And also about, we don't know until actually almost October what our premiums are going to be because the history, it takes until September for them to gather all the information from us. So when we're trying to get a rate, that's how long it took. Because that was one of the things that concerned me, because all of a sudden you find out you got a 20% increase in health insurance benefits. The earliest that a firm, or even the earliest that a firm estimate will be provided on the following year's rates is the month of September. Stop-loss renewals are even later, the month of October. Both entities need enough current year data for their actuaries to make a realistic estimate for the following year. there was some discussion regarding Manitowoc County's decision to be self-funded. In response to this, Chris had M3 request fully insured quotes from two companies to get an idea what the fully insured market looks like. And neither of them would. They estimated a 98.41% increase to premiums due to the high risk on our plan, and one of them, Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield, would not even provide a competitive quote due to the risk on the plan. Also, so I don't forget to say this, all the information, there was a lot of information going on at this meeting, and all the information was sent Chris sent all the information after the meeting to everybody so that you do have this information of how we go about doing this. Anyway, let's see, let's move on to resolutions. I have a resolution establishing elected officials' compensation. As again, we didn't do a nilly-willy, just pull a number out of the air. We've stayed with the way we have been in the past and the program that we have. So I so move that we establish the elected officials' compensation for the clerk of court and sheriff. I so move.
There's a motion. Is there a second? Second by Supervisor Benke. Any discussion on the resolution? Seeing none, the clerk will conduct the vote.
Supervisors will now vote on a resolution establishing elected officials' compensation for the clerk of court and the sheriff.
And that resolution is approved.
And the next resolution amending employee policy manual 4.01, hiring procedure for regular positions. I so move.
There's a motion. Looking for a second. Supervisor Hacker. Any discussion on the resolution? Seeing none, the clerk will conduct the vote.
Supervisors will now vote on the resolution amending employee policy manual section 4.01, hiring procedure for regular positions.
And that resolution is also approved.
And my final resolution, amending employee policy manual 12.05, leaves of absence. I so move.
Motion and a second by Supervisor Niles. Any discussion on the resolution? None, the clerk will conduct the vote.
Supervisors will now vote on the resolution amending employee policy manual section 12.05, leaves of absence.
And the resolution's approved, 18-1. Anything else, Supervisor Marsh?
No, the only thing is, our next meeting is January 6th. I invite you all to come because we're really digging into a lot of things now. So hope to see you there. Thank you.
Thank you. And Luke, I'm so sorry. I had a note here to put you after the consent agenda. And so on the consent agenda, we approved our new IT director, and he's been patiently waiting because he wanted to make sure he introduced himself to everybody. And so, Luke, if you'd like to say something, I invite you up, and I apologize again. I was joking when I said I was going to put you at the end of the agenda. I didn't mean.
All right, thank you, Chair. For those that don't know me, Luke Callista, I've been with the county going on 15 years in June. I've been in IT the entire time. I started as a systems admin, network engineer, division director, now department director. As Craig noted, IT became part of Public Works. That was, I don't know, 7, 8 years ago, whatever that was. We're breaking back off. However, we are still sharing the administrative duties, which is very helpful for both departments. Also, the communications division from Public Works is coming under IT, which makes more sense just from all the stuff that they do. They work with public safety radio, our telephone system, the cabling that is used by IT infrastructure, all that kind of stuff. So it makes sense to have the communications underneath IT as well. So I look forward to continuing to work with you guys. IT will be reporting to the Public Works Committee, so nothing's changing from that perspective. So I'll be still working with that same group of folks. I appreciate the support we've had over the years. Much like Craig with Public Works, we have to do maintenance on the infrastructure from a server, network, software, application perspective. It's not the same, but it is the same from that perspective. So I appreciate the support over the years. Funding these projects, they're not always pleasant to pay for, I know that. But as cybersecurity gets more and more robust, it's much needed, and I appreciate the support over the years. So I don't know if anybody has any questions or.
Supervisor Zimmer.
I'm on the Public Works Committee. We couldn't ask for a better IT director.
All right, I apologize and congratulations. All right, that'll take us to our Planning and Park Commission. Supervisor Falkowski.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Park and Planning did not meet, although I see on our agenda we do have a resolution for refreshing people's memory. On October 27th is when we took up this issue with this resolution. It was passed unanimously, and I did actually report it to the committee here, or to the council, or to the county board on November 4th, so it's pretty current. At this point, I would like to, on behalf of the commission, so move to move Resolution 2025-2026-137, authorizing county conservation aids grant.
There's a motion. Is there a second? Supervisor Engelbrecht. Any discussion? Seeing none, the clerk will conduct the vote.
Supervisors will now vote on a resolution authorizing county conservation aids grant.
And that resolution is approved. Anything else, Supervisor?
Yes, thank you. That'd be the end of my report. The next meeting for the Park and Planning Commission will be January 26th. Moving on to public safety, we had not meet, so we have no report. Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Public Works Committee, Supervisor Sigwitz, do you have the report for this one? Okay.
The Public Works Committee met on Wednesday, December 10th. The Solid Waste and Recycling Division Operations Manager, John Reichenbuchler, provided an update on current markets from recyclables and revenues received. He noted that markets remain volatile due to the uncertain economy. John also reported on this year's Clean Sweep event held October 10th and 11th, which had an overwhelming turnout of large loads that cut down on processing times. We're looking into having an alternative for county residents to utilize year-round. The committee also received a report on this year's overall drug disposal take-back program. In the Buildings and Grounds, Public Work Director Bryant provided an update on the status of the 2025 capital projects. There was no report on the courthouse windows and VAX project. The committee approved 5 pay requests. For Hammond Construction, for $37,574 for the courthouse windows and HVAC project. System Technologies for $110,000 for the jail intercom replacement project. Systems Technologies for $78,255 for the jail intercom replacement project. Elon Electric for $27,706.95 for the jail fire systems replacement project. And last but not least, Hubbard Electric for $89,855 for the jail UPS replacement project. In the Communications Division, the committee received an update on 2025 capital projects that included the WIPSN Public Safety Radio System project. There was a short report on the new dispatch AXS consoles, which was grant-funded and complete. Information Technology Division, IT Division Director Callista, reported on the status of active projects and recent cybersecurity activity. Countywide security training is wrapping up this week. In the Expo Division, the committee reviewed the calendar of events, 2025 capital projects, and monthly financial reports. The next meeting of the Public Works Committee is scheduled for Wednesday, January 14th. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Transportation Coordinating Committee, Supervisor Hacker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Transportation Coordinating Committee met November 5th to review third quarter 2025 progress and results. The original October 29th meeting was rescheduled for lack of a forum. One of the open seats on the TCC has been filled with County Executive Ziegelbauer's appointment of Mr. Alan Brixis for the term ending in April 27th. We still have an open seat for the term ending in April 26th. Please contact me with any candidates. Ridership continues to rise with one-way rides in the third quarter of 2025 increasing by 12% over third quarter 2024. Year-to-date, one-way rides are a whopping 21% over the first 3 quarters of 2024. One reason for this may be the collaborated efforts of the mobility manager and the ADRC outreach coordinator to identify alternative means of promotion. Those efforts are ongoing, and they're doing a good job with that. In addition, 3 new volunteer drivers were trained, and 1 was added to the roster in the third quarter. Finally, the new replacement bus approved for 2025 has been ordered and is in production. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. All right, announcements. Our next meeting is going to be January 20th. I just want to wish you all a Merry Christmas, and I want to be the first to tell you we'll see you next year. Any other announcements? Otherwise, I'd look for a motion to adjourn. Motion by Supervisor Marsh, second by Supervisor Sikowitz. We're adjourned.